Your story matters, don't let it fade. When everything changed, you were made.
And welcome back to One Stories. I'm Wendy Babcock, and today I am joined by Linda. Welcome, Linda.
Hi, Wendy. So glad to be here and having this conversation with you today.
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, you and I have known each other for a little bit. I had an event. I'm trying to think how long ago that event was. Mic Drop Magic you came to. Um,
I
yeah, that was a
did.
little bit ago. Was it a couple years ago,
It was a
maybe?
couple years ago, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that was really cool to get to know you then, and we've just stayed in touch. And then, of course, you were on the One Story stage recently. And so, for those of you listening, you will get to hear Linda's one story after our interview here. So stay tuned for that. And all the speakers on this season had a theme song written for them, custom made for them. So we'll play their song at the end. So let's just jump right in, Linda. I want you to just introduce yourself and tell everyone who you are and what you do.
Sure. I'm a personal finance expert and a financial wellness speaker. So I help women who feel like they're behind get control and clarity over their finances. And I also partner with organizations or groups to bring financial wellness to the workplace, so that people can be more engaged and resilient and just, have a better life.
Yeah. And something I like that you do, because obviously I know you in a little bit of the scope of your business, but what I love is when you work with women specifically, I think women worry that there's going to be judgment. And I feel like you are a total no judgment zone. Like you can feel comfortable and confident with you. Is that true?
Oh, absolutely. There's no judgment, no lecture. I think the biggest thing that sets me apart is I meet people where they are and I meet them with compassion. Like I need to be the bridge. If I'm going to be successful, I need to be the bridge between where they are now and where they want to go or where they want to be, with their finances or in life or whatever. So if you don't meet somebody with compassion without judgment or lecture, immediately you're already setting yourself up for failure or success, depending on which direction that you go.
Yeah, which makes complete sense. I mean, I was kind of raised as you don't talk about your finances with anybody, so I think there was kind of an ingrained shame cycle, like from family and all that. Like you just don't talk about finances, you don't talk about what you do and don't have. So I really never have talked about that. Even in my business, I'm not like, oh, I'm gonna make sure you reach six figures in your speaking business. I'm not that person 'cause I don't want to talk about money. So do you find that's true for a lot of women where it's kind of ingrained that we just don't talk about money?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's a common thread throughout is you just don't. And it's interesting because somehow men started talking about money, and I'm not sure where they started talking about it because I don't feel like those conversations were happening in our households with either men or women. So there's still a lot of men that feel like that they're not confident and don't know that, but somewhere along the way, men feel comfortable talking in general, on the golf course, in the boardroom, talking about their investments, talking about this, talking about, what they're doing next. And women just never got there. And they never got that transition over from not talking about it to talking about it. And I think part of it is because, we don't want to feel braggy or we don't want to feel like we're saying like, oh, I make this much money or I have this much. And that's not really what it's about. It's not actually about the numbers. It's just making it be okay to talk about, because I feel like since we weren't talking about it, it just created this shroud of mystery around it. And we are stuck in that.
Yeah, absolutely. I know I've come up against that. I mean, I can think of a situation like after my mom passed away, my husband and I, we inherited her home. It was a newer home and we didn't have a mortgage then, and it felt weird to tell people that because I didn't want people to think I was bragging or look at me, I don't have a mortgage, but then we were able to like put a pool in and people were like, oh, must be nice. I'm like, yeah, but we don't have a mortgage. So like, yeah, we can do this thing that we normally wouldn't have done. But so like, I never talked money around that. And I always felt like it was people were judging me, even though people maybe didn't say things other than like social media. Because I posted my pool on TikTok and oh my gosh, people were ridiculous about it. Yeah, people. And so I think if you show something you're proud of or something cool that you've done with your money and your finances, there is judgment. And so then I really shrunk back from sharing stuff because people were like, yeah, I can fill my bathtub up with water. So samesies. Like just the
Oh
most
my.
ridiculous comments. I'm like, oh man. And I didn't think that video was going to go anywhere because I had like 1,000 followers on TikTok. Like, it's crazy. But yeah, so that stuff hits me in the face, and I'm like, oh, like I really shouldn't talk about things that I have. So I mean, like society keeps proving it to me sometimes that, oh, if you talk about money, people will judge you and shame you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So where do you meet women then? I mean, as far as is it obviously entrepreneurs, coaches that are trying to build their business? Are they wanting to invest or just maybe learn more? Because I feel like you're really educational in such a great way for women who maybe haven't really explored investing.
Yeah. So when I originally started this version of me, which you can learn more about in my Wen story, when I originally started this version of me, I was thinking that I was talking to Gen X women, women like me, who are at a transitional point in their life and just need to learn more about their finances, or women like I was, right? But what I found is that I had people coming to me that said, I feel like you're talking directly to me, but they were boomers. They were 20-year-olds. They were women of all ages,
Hmm.
because I was talking to people who felt like they were behind and felt like they should know more. And it's not age specific. So that to me was mind blowing, because here I am thinking, oh, it's my generation that feels this way. And then I'm coming to the realization that it's all women. And maybe not every single one. I shouldn't say everyone, but most women feel this way. And they don't know who to go to, who to trust. And that's what I have become, is a trusted partner, a safe place for them to go and learn, where I'm not going to say, like, as an advisor or a planner, like, hey, move your money to me so that I can manage it for you. They're not worried about me trying to get them to do things or sell them products. Like, I'm not going to sell them something. I'm just going to teach them about wherever they are. So I can teach about the basics like debt and savings and credit and all that. I can also teach investing and how to do your own financial plan. I can teach really literally anything personal finance. But the thing that sets me apart from other like personal finance people that talk about budgeting or even just money mindset is I bring all of it together. And as a certified financial planner, I actually know all of the things that go into financial planning. So I'm teaching it from a space that has a higher level of knowledge than most traditional financial or money coaches have.
Wow. So it's nurturing and education and empowerment in it. So I love that's a great combination because I think a lot of, like you were saying, a lot of them have one or the other. They have like the empowerment piece or they have the educational piece, which people who are more maybe emotional around money might be intimidated by the educational piece of the finances. You know, maybe that's incorrect, but like I feel like when I was 31 and went through my divorce, we always lived paycheck to paycheck. And so as I got on my feet as a single mom, then it was really hard just budgeting and like, okay, well, how do I put anything aside? So I think there are moments in our lives where people like you come into the picture or can come into the picture that can help kind of give women a leg up. Like, here's how to do this better so you can put some money aside and actually thrive and not live like you're just in such scarcity all the time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've been there too. That paycheck to paycheck was most of my life.
Yeah.
And I've talked to people who say, well, I don't know that you can help me because I can't save because I am just paycheck to paycheck and there's no room for anything. And what I say then is I say, that's okay, but let's understand where you are so that we know where you need to go so that we can make the change. Maybe not today, but at least we're working towards something for tomorrow. Because I think there are so many people that just feel helpless, like I'm just stuck, like there's no way. And what I'm saying is if you're willing, there's a way, right? Where there's a will, there's a way. So if start learning about it and start moving forward and know that there's going to be an opportunity for you at some point and you need to be set up and ready to take that opportunity.
Well, I love that because I feel like you set people up with showing them the possibility. And sometimes that's all it takes for a shift in the mindset. I've learned a lot through when I taught the complaint free about, what if this was possible? How might you do it? And just reshaping like the mindset. So just you saying, I see where you're at and I get that, but let's talk about what is possible. Where do you want to go? And having those conversations, sometimes I think it ignites a little spark in the brain with like, oh, you know what? I didn't realize I spent money maybe here maybe I don't really need this thing and I could put that money away instead of spending it on, the 13th channel on TV that we all have to subscribe to, right? All these different packages that we have or whatever that looks like. I mean, do you find that people are a little more open to let some of the things go that they thought they like had to have?
Yeah, I mean, and it's all based on individuals, right? So every experience that I have with a client is going to be different than another. They're never going to be exactly the same.
Yeah.
And a lot of what I talk about and what I teach is about understanding your personality and how you interact with money, and then putting intention to your spending and your saving, and thinking of it as more values based. Like, is this purchase really worth my money? Is it really serving me?
Yeah.
And kind of like analyzing that, but it sounds way more complicated than I try to make it be.
Yeah. And I feel like, something I've done is during the pandemic, I got really bad about Amazon, about just kind of like, impulse buying. And so I had to like step back and say, oh, some of the stuff I'm buying, like I bought a 9-foot inflatable giraffe costume, which, yeah, I put it to use, but like, did I need it? Probably not. Right. So like there's money I've got out the door that, yeah, it's fun, whatever. But like now what I do is if I think I need something, I put it in my cart and then I wait at least 24 to 48 hours and come back. And I would say 9 times out of 10, I take it back out of my cart. So I'm over that compulsion buying. And I'm just like, oh, okay. Yeah, I probably don't actually need that. Where if I hit buy right away, I usually do have some sort of remorse around it. So I think
Yeah,
I've saved us a little bit of money by just kind of like putting things on hold a little bit and not just going for it.
absolutely. Absolutely. And did you know that on Amazon you can make different lists? So you can make
Oh,
a
yeah.
wish list where you can just add stuff to it. And then if anybody ever wants to know what to buy you for a gift, you're like, oh yeah, let me send you my Amazon wish list. And then
You
it
know,
also gives you that satisfaction, that dopamine that you get from, clicking the buy or clicking the add to cart, but you're just putting it on a list. Like so
oh,
you're like, oh, okay, I saved it for later. Like it's not gone because deleting it from your cart means it's gone. And if you decide you want it, will you ever be able to find it again? So if you
or
add it to
remember
the
that you wanted
list,
it. Yeah.
yeah.
Or
So you add
remember
it to
even
the
that you wanted
list.
it.
Yeah.
That's
Um,
really smart.
yeah, and there's different lists. There's like you can make as many lists as you want and categorize them or whatever. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's another strategy that I have people use. Um, but so my me money strategy, I want to talk about that a little bit
Yes.
because so me money is where you take a portion of your money, whether it be monthly or per paycheck or however you want to do it, and you set it aside just for you. So, for instance, if you're in a relationship, if you live in the same household, you both get the same amount of money. This actually started with my husband. It started because I put my husband on a budget. So maybe I should start there and tell the story. So I put my husband on a budget because I just wanted him to understand how much money he was spending because I take care of the finances. And he was just like, it's not that much. It's whatever. I'm like, okay, I'm going to put you on a budget and you have to live within the means of this budget. Like simple finance 101, live within your means. Here's your money. You can go on your fishing trips, your golf trips. You can buy fishing stuff. You can buy golf shirts. You can buy whatever you want, do whatever you want. You have to live within this amount of money. Now, I already knew how much money he was spending. So it was easy for me to come up with a number because I had been tracking it for years. So I already knew what the number should be. But I reined it in just a little bit because I knew that there were things he could cut back on. But my goal was to just have him understand how much money he was spending. That was my whole goal. So when I came back, I asked him, how after a little while, how's it going? He said, fine. And really what he said, when I dug in, he said, I'm making better choices. So now he's understanding that if he says yes to something now, he might be saying no to something later. But he's also saying, I can say yes to this now and it's okay. I don't, have to answer to anybody. And he said he didn't feel restricted or anything like that. And I'm trying to make the story short, but then flip it
That's
over
great.
to me because he said, are you going to give yourself the same amount of money? I said, yes, I will. And so I did. But I was amazed by so for him, he started making better choices and he realized how much money he was spending. For me, I finally had permission to spend money on myself without any guilt.
Wow.
So if I wanted that giraffe costume, I could buy that giraffe costume with zero guilt, right? Because I'm choosing to buy that giraffe costume. And I know if I buy that now that I might say no to something else later, but that's what I value. Or if I wanted to buy something, let's say, for instance, this isn't me, but if it was, let's say I wanted to buy a pair of designer shoes, like a $1,500 pair of shoes. And, normally most wives, their husbands would be like, heck no, you are not spending that much money on a pair of shoes. But you know what? If it's my money and it's already set aside for me, and I want to save up that money and eventually buy that pair of shoes, if I choose that that's what I want to spend my money on, that's up to me and me only. I don't have to answer to anybody. And so it's a mindset shift as much as it is a financial strategy for any type of money personality. And it actually helps in relationships too, because it levels the playing field. And one person doesn't feel like they're sacrificing because the other one is spending.
That's brilliant. Honestly, MeMoney, I love that. I'm going to bring that up to Brian. I think that would be a good, we've never fought about money at all. Like we were like, such an odd couple. Like we just don't fight about that stuff. But like, I feel like, yeah, because I sometimes I know I'm the nickel and dimer. I'm the one in the relationship that will nickel and dime us to death on stupid stuff, So I think just for myself, kind of like looking at what's my spending habits, what are his, and let's like come up with like here, so this, then I don't have guilt when I do buy the giraffe costume or something
Yeah.
silly. That's brilliant. I love that. So real quick, I want to talk a little bit. I know we're kind of running out of time, but like in what capacity do you work with people? Obviously, coaching, consulting, speaking. Do people bring you in to speak? Obviously, what does that
Yeah.
look like?
Yeah. So I can speak I speak to women's organizations, and I'll do my MeMoney talk. I also speak to solopreneurs, people that are building a business, and about how to set their pricing so that they can actually build the life that they're intending to build through their business. And then with larger groups and companies, I talk about burdened, which is when money walks into work. And it's like the idea that if your employees are walking into work and all they're doing is stressing about money, they can't focus on their jobs. And then unburdened, what does financial wellness look like when you bring financial wellness programs into your workspace? And then people are understanding their money and connecting with it more so that there's less stress. Then they can focus on their work, and the return on investment in your financial wellness program comes back to you in your ROI from your business.
That is mind-boggling smart. I mean, if more companies would do that, I think about when I had worked for employers, right? There's times that we were struggling, but if I understood, if they brought in someone to help me, I would just find more joy in my job,
Yeah.
because you're making money, that's what you're doing a job for. And then you can actually enjoy it more because you know what the heck you're doing. Even if you think you're the best budgeter in the world, if you're still always underwater, if you're always miserable, to your point, oh my God, that's so smart. I love that you do that.
Yeah, yeah. And so those are the main talks. I also do like the 7 money basics, core 7 money basics, which I mostly do in like workshops for workplace wellness. Like where they'll bring me in and just say, hey, any employees that want to join into this, we're going to learn about the 7 basics of money. And it kind of covers everything so that you get like any age will connect somewhere. And then the idea that they can lean into whichever section they want to know more about.
I love that. So how can people find you, right? They're listening to the podcast. They're going to hear your one story up next. So how can they find you if they want to bring you in to speak or just hire you, bring you in as a coach or consultant?
Yeah. My website is the best place, lindagriz.com, LINDAGRIZ.com. Left off the last 3 letters because everybody messes it up. So why make it hard for people? So yeah, and they can find me there, and it has, most of my offerings, my social media, everything. And yeah.
Wow. Very nice. Thank you so much, Linda. This is great. Please check out Linda's website, lindagriz.com, and it'll be in the show notes as well. You can click on that. Stay tuned, listen to her one story. You can find out how she came into doing what she does and a little bit of her backstory, as well as the MeMoney theme song. So stick around. Thanks again, Linda.
Yeah, thanks so much, Wendy.
Your story matters, don't let it fade. When everything changed, you were made.
When everything changed, I wasn't in crisis. I was sitting comfortably at my desk chair, having a conversation with an AI chatbot. A conversation about imposter syndrome and why I deserve to be on this stage. Because I have many when stories in my life, but none of them individually seemed like what I wanted to share. And while they were hugely impactful at the time, I felt like they seemed small now. The irony of it is that conversation became my when story. What the chatbot gave me was a sentence, but it was more than a sentence, it was a mirror. It said, "You grew up with quiet limitations that shaped how small you thought you had to be." And when I read that line, tears started streaming down my face. Because that line not only described my life, it reframed it. Because I realized that every win story, every obstacle I had overcome, every time I found the silver lining and pushed on, all of those things were stories of resilience and tenacity. But they were also stories of me thinking bigger and becoming who I could be. That's when everything changed, not when something broke, but when something broke open. You see, I did grow up with limitations. My world was very small and it didn't stretch at all. It wasn't as if I couldn't dream big, but it was as if those dreams weren't meant for me. There was nobody telling me, "You can't dream big, you can't do that." But there was also nobody saying, "Hey, this is who you could be. This is what you could do. Let me show you the way." So I stayed small, without even realizing I was small. And I lived life the way I knew how. I survived. I carried everything without dropping it. I pushed through. I persevered. But living a life that way makes you an expert at holding things together, but a stranger to yourself. At some point, I started seeing signs and invitations. At age 45, I walked away from a 23-year marriage. But more importantly, I was walking into possibility. At 48, I went back to college. I didn't just take one class. I took 11 classes at 4 different schools in my first semester. And at the same time, I started a business. And I named it the Art of Tenacity. Because I felt I had earned it, but also because I knew I was making bold moves, and I knew there were many more bold moves to come. I've reinvented myself more times than I'd like to admit. I've left jobs that looked perfect on paper. I've chosen paths that didn't make sense to anyone but me. A lot of the decisions I made may have looked like failure from the outside. But they weren't failure. They were growth. They were me becoming who I could be. There's this myth that starting over means something went wrong. But what if starting over is just part of becoming? Sometimes tenacity isn't just holding on. Sometimes it's letting go. Letting go of titles and timelines and things that make you feel off inside. That's the art of tenacity. So if you've ever felt like you're behind, like you want more, that your nervous system needs a reboot, let this be your permission slip. You are not broken. You are ready to step up to the next version of you. You're on your way to becoming your best self. Making a change, making the change itself, isn't the hard part. The hard part is answering all the shoulds. You should stay where you are. You should be content and happy. You should be grateful. And who says you're not grateful? Because it looks good to them. It's familiar. It's responsible. It's respectful. They see the outward stability, the Facebook pictures, the LinkedIn profile. They don't see the internal struggles, the yearning for something more, for wanting to become more and do more. All of those reinventions, I don't regret. They've all been a part of me becoming who I am. I didn't fail. Sometimes I outgrew. Where I am now, people are still telling me, you're doing it wrong. Why did you leave financial planning? Why aren't you chasing high net worth clients? And when they say that, I tell them, I'm doing it exactly right. Because I know that I'm serving the versions of me that I once was. As a financial educator and personal growth coach, I serve all of the versions of me. I was that teen mom, balancing my checkbook and filing my taxes on my own before I was old enough to vote. I was a married mother of 3, holding everything together. I was a mom newly divorced, in chaos, trying to figure out my finances. I had people that were supposed to be helping me, but they weren't talking to me like a human. They were just doing their business. That sounds bad. They were just doing their jobs. But they were not serving me the way I needed to be served. I needed someone to tell me, this is what you need to know. This is what you need to do. This is the way it works. And teach me about those things that I didn't know. So if you've ever felt like you're behind, you're not. If you ever felt like you wanted more, you're allowed. Because becoming isn't a one-time event. It's a lifelong process. And you get to keep doing it as many times as you want. That's the art of tenacity. Thank you.
Paycheck to paycheck, 16 came fast. Dreams felt distant, life came at last. Dropped out, broke down, still kept faith. Every door closed, but I found my way. So what I built, walked out with no plan. Started over, again and again. From nothing but grit, I learned to fight. And every wrong turn still got me right. Gotta get to me money, me money, me money. Out here getting it like bees to honey, honey, honey. Gotta get you some me money, me money, me money. Doing it with less work, more funny. Let's get us some me money, me money, me money, me money, honey, honey. Back to school on my own dime. 11 classes, lost track of time. Master's degree, still going strong. Kept on asking, where do I belong? Gotta get some me money, me money, me money. Out here getting it like bees to honey, honey, honey. Gotta get you some me money, me money, me money. Doing it with less work, more funny. Let's get us some me money, me money, me money, me money. Right, right. No shame, no fear, no second guess.